Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, or the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risk their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as were the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalio, and this video is about the Mark of the Beast prophecy, which is the microchip. Alright, so here it is, another Mark of the Beast update, and this time coming from the website thepeoplesvoice.tv. Dutch Queen orders digital ID requirement for banking, school enrollment, and V verification. Now, why is this relevant to the Mark of the Beast prophecy? Well, firstly, the Mark of the Beast is the microchip. Revelation 13 and verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So unless you have this mark, you won't be able to buy or sell. All right, now the mark itself at G5480 is the Greek word charagma, which says a stamp and imprinted mark. And this is talking about something that is physical. All right, so it's identified as a microchip. The microchip is imprinted into the body, right? And it is imprinted into the body by way of this device at G5482, which is the Carax. It says a paler stake, right? So a stake is, something you can imagine like a pencil, but the end is sharp and pointed. The device that is used to administer the microchip, this is the Carax. Right, it's like a thick, long needle. It pierces the skin, and then it inserts the microchip, which is that imprint. All right, when John saw what was happening, saw the prophecy, right, he described it as the charagma, right? And remember, John was there during our Roman captivity, so the charagma is something that is in ancient Rome. They had slaves, and the masters would literally mark their slaves. They would brand them, okay? They would mark them, okay? So, like cattle, So when John saw it, he saw the people being marked, and he was describing it from, living in Rome, and he saw something physical where the people were being marked with. It is that microchip. All right. So the microchip is a digital device that is used to make digital payments. It is also used for identification purposes, to identify you by way of your personal ID and biometric ID, but also it identifies and verifies your government information, your medical information. They intend to, have anything attached to it. It can be used to open up doors and everything like that. So it has many uses. It's an all-for-one use device. Okay, so we know that the mark of the beast is the microchip. All right, and so what Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is going to do, the rulers of this kingdom today, specifically their ruling class or the elite bankers, they are going to make the mandatory worldwide, right, which it is going to be the fulfillment of the Mark of the Beast prophecy. And unless you have the microchip, you will be shut out from society. And so knowing that the microchip is the Mark of the Beast, knowing how it works, we then observe the systems that are being implemented to facilitate its usage on a mandatory and global scale. So they are changing the world. They call it the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is another name for their NWO, which is about transforming the world towards a completely digitally driven society, a digital society, right? And in a digital society, they intend to get rid of the current monetary system with the paper dollar, the fiat currency, and they're moving towards that digital payment system within this digital society that they have envisioned. Hence why they are implementing the central bank digital currencies, and they are moving away from the cash. They're heading towards a cashless society. In America, they did it a different way. They signed the stable coin, which works as a 1-to-1 ratio to the US dollar, into law by way of the Genius Act. So they are, developing and implementing their digital payment system. And that is why, like here, Christine Lagarde, who, before the pandemic in 2020, she actually came over here to the Caribbean, telling the Caribbean leaders that they need to implement central bank digital currencies. Or she had her previous role then, and then they moved her into her next role, which is this current role, which she has been the face of developing the European central bank digital currency. All right, which it is coming. So I'll play this video.
We're getting to the close of the ECB is fit for the times. Stock of the work done by all the teams to see from a strategy point of view how we're going to go forward, and whether our strategy is fit for purpose, and whether the ECB is fit for the times we're going through. Difficult times they are. The two other big projects that we have worked on and will continue to work on in 26 are, number one, the digital euro. We have completed the cycle of the preparation. The Governing Council has given its go-ahead to move to the next cycle, and we're now waiting for the European Parliament to come up with final legislation that will the go-ahead for the pilot phase and then the launch. The other project, which is not unrelated, more traditional, but still very efficient and needed, is the banknote. We are revamping our banknotes. Process is well underway, and we will have new design, new faces possibly, and we look forward.
Yeah, so that second part is a joke because, she already let us all know that the number one priority is the European Central Bank digital currency. All right, and when they're talking about how it's in its final stage and the legislation to sign it off and all this kind of stuff, that's just like whatever. All right, because they're the ones in control. All right, they're talking about certain walls or something that they may encounter. That's all just for stunts and shows and circus. All right, they are more than likely already have it ready to go, and they're more than likely just waiting for a specific time. Esau, Edom, they work on the left hand side, right? They have witchcraft and sorcery at hand, and they deal with all kinds of things, numbers and whatever else, and they have their system on the left hand that they work with, right? But regarding their technologies, they always show, it is believed, right, that they show less than what they actually have, right? So they have more advanced technologies that they don't reveal to the world, and they show the world just, gradually bringing out whatever, all right? But regarding the system, y'all already know what it is. If it is that it is already up and running in different countries, like out here in Jamaica, right, then their final stage, as they call it, it's already figured out, right? Because as well, remember, the situation is a one world event, so everything is going to have to work on the same platform, the same blockchain system, right? So once again, if it is up and running and available in one country, it's going to be no problem in others. Anyway, it shows us where we're at, and this individual lets it be known that that's a priority. So the transformation towards the digital payment system, right, as well as the implementation of the digital public infrastructure, developing the society towards that digital society, where what they envision for their new slavery system coming in, because that's really what it is, right? Because remember, what they're bringing in is the next level of their slavery system, and this is why they're going to be marking their slaves, and they're going to be marking their slaves with that microchip. John literally described it perfectly because he saw this the Edomites, right, in their rulership, and he saw that they were bringing about a time of great chaos and hell, and through that they were marking their slaves, and they made it mandatory in order to continue to operate in their society. This is what he saw. Okay, so when he described it as the charagma, he was literally seeing something physical being imprinted into the hand and the forehead. Okay, so I was saying that we're looking at the systems coming in because we know the microchip technology is out there. We already know that it's successful and up and running, right? Both in the hand and the forehead, which they call the brain computer interface, which is the brain microchip. The technology is out there. So we're just waiting for whatever systems they need to implement to allow it to work on that global scale, and hence why these reports are being made. Right now, the digital ID part, knowing and understanding how the microchip works, you can either type in RFID microchip or biometric microchip, right? You will see how it works. Okay, so then you will see that the digital ID is a stepping stone heading towards the microchip. All right, so the microchip itself is an all-for-one-use device, okay, to make payments and for all identification purposes and everything attached to it. So when we take a look at the digital ID that has been proposed by the World Economic Forum, we can see that they want to connect people with things, with entities and devices. And this is going to be done by way of the transformation of the cities towards that digital public infrastructure, right? And then having the people merge with their technology, which is the microchip, and then having the people walk around these 15-minute cities, these digital cities, smart cities, and they're using the microchip for every single step that they make. They're using the microchip for every payment that they make. When they go for government services, they're using the microchip. When they're going for medical services, they're using the microchip to identify them. When they're going to travel, they're using the microchip. When they're identifying themselves for their social media, they're using their microchip. Everything is using this microchip, and you can see it, man. The digital ID shows us, right, how it is going to be. So the digital ID is consolidating all of your information into one place, the same way how the microchip is that all-for-one-use device, and the digital ID is tying, of course, your biometrics to it. It says that your healthcare is going to be attached to it, and that's why Trump signed the digitalization of the medical industry in America, right? The financial services obviously is going to be attached to it. People are already literally using the microchip to make payments, to buy things. Your bank accounts are going to be attached to your digital ID. All right, remember, this is a stepping stone. Then they have other things that are attached to it, like food and sustainability and humanitarian response, which they do provide a description here as well. But I want to show that it says to access services. All right, so that is the main point there, to access services, right? Because that is where it's going to be. Unless you have the microchip, you won't have access to services, and whatever humanitarian response services there are, it is all going to, it's showing you the digital ID, that stepping stone, showing you what all is going to be attached to it, right? The microchip is going to be the same thing. All of these things are going to be attached to the microchip. It's just going to be transferred onto it. So your passport and all of your travel metro cards and whatever else, that's going to be attached to your digital ID. Your online profile, e-commerce, to shop, to conduct business transactions and secure payments, and your social platforms as well, which they've been talking about this. All right, they've been talking about this more heavily with this whole misinformation thing, hate speech thing, control of the internet thing, the under 16 thing to protect what they call minors and whatever else. All right, your social media ID is going to be attached to your digital ID, which means that once, and then this speaks to, what can potentially come from it regarding the famine of the word, which is coming, right? Because your social media ID, or rather your social media is going to be attached to your digital ID. So when it is that they ban you from like the YouTube, there's going to be no way to make another account because it's all going to be attached to that digital ID and eventually that mark chip, because once again this is the stepping stone, and I have to emphasize that. All right, so it shows you that government services is going to be attached to the digital ID, telecommunications, your phone as well, right? Several weeks ago, seen an article regarding that. Yes, your SIM phone, your SIM card, however that whole system works, is going to be attached to your digital ID. All right, so even people having multiple phones or burner phones or whatever it is, there's just going to be no way to be anonymous, because everything that you do is going to be attached to this digital ID, which it is showing you the preview of what the microchip is going to be and how it works, which we know that unless you have the microchip, you'll be shut out from society. So these are the steps that they're making. Okay, so this is why these things are being reported, because these are the stepping stones heading towards the mandatory microchipping. So now the Dutch Queen orders digital ID requirement for banking, school enrollment, and verification. Queen Maxima of the Netherlands used her appearance at the World Economic Forum's Davos Summit to articulate what many critics say the global elite have been planning for years: a future in which a digital ID is required to access to nearly every aspect of life. Which it's not, it's not like this whole conspiracy theory, that whole kind of thing. I mean, they're literally doing it in real time. All right, it's all of the information is out there, all of the articles are out there, everything is out there regarding the system being developed. It's plain to see, because we're in that time, as it says in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. It says the vision, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So the vision is speaking, the prophecy is speaking, right? Louder than ever before, because we're very close to the manifestation of this prophecy. So it is very blatant in our faces. There's this website called Biometric Update that I've often taken information from. And, I visit the website and I see what's going on, and I will like hold on to articles. Like I've been holding on to these two articles for a little bit. Clear releases digital ID based on US passports for TSA ID verification. So, this just ties into the whole system that is coming in, right? Digital IDs, which they've been sneaking into America by way of the mobile driver's licenses, not just blatantly telling you that they're implementing digital IDs. They do it in a very sneaky way. And they also already revealed this year that they're moving completely to like a digital ID system for travel. All right, that was announced this year. Okay, so I was holding on to this. Then like here, Laos launches national digital ID as digital transformation picks up pace. But there's so much information for all of the countries around the world regarding their digital public infrastructure development, digital ID implementation, and central bank digital currency implementation, that is like, what I'm saying? It's such a common occurrence right now. All right, Vietnam has big. Will the EU ID wallet be ready in 2026? Experts say probably not. Well, it's not up to experts, it's up to Yahweh Shai. Okay. Vietnam has big digitalization and biometrics ambitions for 2026, right? So all of the countries are pushing forward with, this, and then we constantly hear about this because now it is the year 2026, and Esau has had the year 2030 as, one that they've mentioned oftentimes, like that is their goal, 2030, like this here with Jamaica, Caribbean, or well, the Caribbean aims for a 2030 vision of shared digital ecosystem. So she wants this, and of course, the Dutch Queen, we know what Queen really means. I didn't even know that they had that going on over there still, but she's an advocate for it. And then at the World Economic Forum, which the World Economic Forum has been one of their platforms of literally saying what their plans are, which is a part of their witchcraft on the left hand side. They reveal what they're going to be doing, and they always have. All right, but they also spread deception out there to make the people not believe. So it's a very weird creature, this Edomite. Okay, but you know, this is what she's about. And she, of course, she's a part of that the whatever order there is on Esau's left-handed side, because there's an order there. All right, a wicked order. But she's talking about pushing it, and she's saying Dutch Queen orders digital ID requirement for banking, school enrollment, and verification, which, of course, going back to this image right here, it shows you all of those things: the banking, right, financial services, the healthcare, which is the V part, and what was the other part of it? School enrollment. Which what is the school dealing with? The government, right? You know, there's public and private schools, but at the end of the day, it's all tied together, right? So, okay. So she's saying digital ID is necessary not only for financial services, but also for determining who is and isn't V, school enrollment, and the receipt of government subsidies. So we know that government subsidies, government is attached to it for citizens to access and use services. All right, so take note of that when they say that use services, and then the same thing here, humanitarian response to access services. All right, it's going to be needed, man. Digital ID is going to be needed for all of these things, right? Which is going to be that stepping stone, all right, to the ultimate goal, which is the microchip, where the microchip is going to be, unless you have it, you're going to be shut out from all of these things. You're going to be shut out from society. All right, so this is what it is. This is the current update. When banking, education, healthcare, compliance, and state assistance are all tied to one centralized digital credential, yes, identity stops being about verification and starts becoming about control. But that's exactly what it is. It's their next level slavery system. Okay, and they're going to be marking their slaves. And then by way of the technology, of course, they're going to be able to know what you're doing at every stage, because now you're going to be merged with technology, and they can already track any piece of technology at any point in time whenever they want to. All right, that's how the technology has always been built. Okay, so they will certainly be able to track you once you have the microchip inside of you, and then when you're using the microchip for every single step of your daily activities, that leaves your digital footprint easily trackable. All right, yeah. So you can take a look at China, because they are developed and they're ready to go. They're ready for the microchip to be mandatory over there. They're ready. Over there in China, they have their Alipay and whatever other system over there, but they live their life by way of swipe and go, digital payments, digital identification, all of that, social credit system, all of that. They have some robots over there too, right? They are accustomed to, their digital public infrastructure has been turned up, so they're used to the lifestyle as it is. So it's now for the West to pick up pace, which 2025, with the amount of things that Trump signed into law regarding, allowing, the microchip to function on that, all across America. It's close and it's clear what time it is. So the warning has gone out from Yahweh Shemishai to not take the microchip, which is in fact the mark of the beast. Okay, and there's a judgment for it. So in Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9, it says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," which is you really worshiping Esau. Because when you look at the word worship here, G4352, it says proskuneo, right? To kiss the hand towards one in token of reverence. Right now, remember, John was in the Roman captivity. So when he's describing things, right, It is from that perspective. And when he used the word proskuneo, right, in the Greek, it is literally someone like a slave bending down to the dominus, you know what I'm saying, the master, and you know, just as it says, to kiss the hand towards one in reverence, kiss the master's hand. And that is what you Israelites will be doing when you take the microchip. You would have been saying that Esau is your master and not Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? So it's a very serious thing. As it says here, meaning like a dog licking his master's hand. Okay? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Shemishai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, right? Because the ultimate judgment is going to be death by way of thermonuclear fire. It's the second death. All right? And if you take the microchip, you're going to be destroyed, and America is going to be destroyed by the ICBM missiles. And 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed in America, with 1/3 being saved, which 1/3 is the elect of the nation of Israel. So the 2/3 will be those who take the microchip. All right, this is the warning from Yahweh Shemishai. Okay, but with all things that are happening, it's clear that the hour of temptation is close to occurring. Okay, in Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right, so the hour of temptation is when you're faced with a microchip, and this is going to be a mandatory worldwide event, right? The microchip is going to become mandatory, and unless you have it, you're going to be shut out from society. So it's the hour of temptation, because, you know, you won't have access to food or any kind of basic necessities unless you take the microchip. So it's going to be a test of your faith, right? To those of us who say that we believe in Yahweh Shemishai, we will be tested during that hour of temptation, those of us of the hopeful elect. All right, but then as well, the word temptation and the word try, they break down to I will show you at G3986 at temptation, and then you can see G3985 at try. So first it's parasmos, and then at G385 it's parazzo, which talks about that trial, right? And then at G3984 it says para, which talks about that trial. But then when you go to the base of it at G4008, it says through the idea of piercing, which it breaks all the way down to the word paran, which says to pierce. You see? So it is the hour of piercing, right? Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of piercing, which shall come upon all the world to pierce them that dwell upon earth. Is the hour of piercing, because that is how the microchip is administered. All right, that's how people get it inside of the body. Their bodies are pierced by way of the corax to administer the charagma, which is something physical. All right, so the word world here at G3625 is the word oikomini, which is talking about the inhabited earth. So everybody is going to be hit with the facing the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. But we know that salvation is only for the Israelites, and then of the Israelites, the Lord is only going to be delivering the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, so the warning only goes out for the Israelites, because salvation is only for our people. But all spirits upon the earth are going to face, you know, the microchip. All right, but whether the heathen take it or not, it doesn't matter. This is only for the Israelites, the warning. Okay, so with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai Bashim Kodesh. Shalom.